You are now tuned into Reppin Sessions podcast. Exclusive interviews with White Oak Roughneck legends. Follow on Instagram and Facebook. Reppin the Roughnecks.
Reppin Sessions podcast, episode 10. We're finally in the double digits. I got James here with me. We got a special guest today. We got number 57, Dawson Cunneen. Played for the 15 and 16 squad. And I'm glad to have you here with us, man. First things first. I went back on your Instagram page and I saw you were a Spring Hill Panther at one time.
I was, yeah.
So tell us that. When did you move to White Oak and how long were you in Spring Hill?
So I was actually in Spring Hill since kindergarten till 8th grade. We moved from Bryan College Station area. That's where I was born. We went to Spring Hill. They thought that was a good fit for me at that time. So they didn't really care. We lived in a good area. And then as I started playing football, 5th and 6th grade, that was tackle. We went almost undefeated. We lost one team, Gladewater, in both years. And then school-affiliated ball, we didn't win a game. So around 8th grade year, my parents started discussing moving, and they started talking about moving to White Oak. And at that time, I'm like, oh, no, that can't happen, man.
You didn't want to move to the rival,
yeah. I can't move to the rival school, but I moved summer before my freshman year. So I got to get acquainted with some players and teammates that lived here.
Who were some of the people you got acquainted with?
So I actually knew Caleb Hampton and Colby Sigley. They went to Spring Hill whenever I was there. They moved over to White Oak a few years before I did.
So, in middle school they moved over?
Yeah, they moved over. I think Caleb moved over 7th grade year, and I think Colby did as well. I knew Chase Reeves too. He moved sooner though. He moved probably about 4th grade year to White Oak. But I knew them, and then went into two-a-days freshman year. So it wasn't a harsh transition, I would say, because I knew some people. But it was just getting in the groove of things, and I'm the new kid, so kind of a little...
Did you get backlash from your old teammates at Spring Hill?
Man. Backlash from my new teammates at White Oak, too. You know, oh, my God, Spring Hill Panther trying to walk up in here and play some football with some Roughnecks. So that was that was a little tough, but, overcame it. Ended up becoming a lot, good friends with a lot of them. So
who were your coaches when you got here? Your ninth grade coach.
My 9th grade coach, so that would have been Skylar Stagner was our 9th grade head coach. The head coach for varsity was Jerry Sanford. Great guy, man. He really showed me a different side of football than what I saw at Spring Hill. So I knew he was a great coach.
Who was the Spring Hill head coach at that time when you were a freshman? Do you remember?
Sartain.
So that was the guy from White Oak.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Coach Sartain had left and gone to Trinity Valley Junior College and coached a while, and then he wound up at Spring Hill for a couple of years, and then he's been an assistant at Marshall, and I think he's in Tatum right now.
Yeah, I didn't really vibe with Coach Sartain. Man, I'm going to all these quarterback camps and all this stuff. I used to play quarterback at Spring Hill, and someone who never showed up to summer workouts there and everything like that was just gonna walk in and get the starting job over me. So that was another reason we were like, let's just move to White Oak. Well, that summer while I'm at one of those quarterback camps, I actually fractured my growth plate in my throwing arm. So when I moved to White Oak, it's like non-contact for a week that I'm there in 2 days. And so I don't get in with quarterbacks. And I end up playing receiver and linebacker, I believe. And then they moved me to defensive line where I excelled. And then goes on from there. I get bigger and just learn the position and fall in love with the position.
Who were your line coaches at White Oak?
Coach Shuttlesworth. And he was there my freshman and sophomore year. He was defensive ends coach. Defensive tackle, because I moved to defensive tackle my junior year. Defensive tackle was Coach Gossage my junior and senior year. So great men, great coaches.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed being coached by them.
Have not ever heard a bad word about them.
No, they were really good men. Really enjoyed being coached by them.
So your junior year, White Oak gets a coaching change. Iske takes over. Tell us about those 2 years when you're a junior and senior compared to the coaching staff when you're a freshman and sophomore. Look who it is. Mason just walks in. Our third co-host. What's going on, Mason?
How are you going?
Good.
How you doing?
Pull up a seat, bud. So yeah, back to that. So tell us a little bit.
As far as head coach, I will say I did like Stanford more. Iske was there whenever I first got there. He was defensive coordinator whenever I got there.
Stanford hired him as the DC?
Yes.
Okay.
You did.
Yes. So I knew Coach Iske wasn't a brand new face to me.
Let's get
Let's
back.
roll on.
So back to the 15 season. Before the season started, what was y'all's expectations of that year?
In 2015?
Yeah.
Well, we knew the talent we had. So I think we didn't really take into account the coaching change because we felt like we were a good enough team. We were going to win some games. Expectations, whenever I was in school, was always state. But we knew, like, we kind of knew we were going to make the playoffs. Like, that's just how we thought, was we're going to make the playoffs. We're going to win a lot of football games. We're going to play our game. We're going to make the playoffs and hopefully make it to state. That's the expectations we had whenever we were playing. One thing I did know was I knew Coach Iske was a defensive-minded coach.
Mm-hmm.
So he was actually a really good defensive coordinator. But I think that role, when he steps into that bigger role as head coach, I guess he's just not dynamic enough, if that makes sense, to be able to handle that coaching role.
Yeah.
Okay, who was calling the shots on offense?
Mueller?
Mueller?
Mueller.
What year did he get to White Oak?
It's 15 and 16 was his offense coordinator years. Is that right?
I
think he-
my
I think he
junior,
hired-
yeah, 15.
I think somebody said that people would go just to watch him,
Yeah.
carry on and act crazy.
Man, you talk about someone hopped up on some Red Bull.
Yeah. When he did the chest, if I remember, he did the chest bumps
He
with
did,
the players
yeah.
and stuff. See,
He even did it with the kicker. Number 4, what was his name?
Connor.
Yeah, I saw. He has
Yeah,
a photo.
yeah,
I'm like, man, yeah. So 15 season. You said y'all had high expectations. What was like your biggest memory of the 15 season? Was there a certain game, playoff game?
Probably that Pottsboro game, man.
Pottsboro?
Yeah, because Pottsboro was ranked higher.
Yeah, dude, they were supposed to steamroll
It
us.
was beat Winsboro, Pottsboro, and then lost to Sunnyvale. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Winsboro,
what
I
it
think, was ranked too. Or were they? White Oak wasn't ranked that year, though. I believe.
No.
Because lost to Mineola, isn't that right? Mineola won state.
Yeah.
Who else did y'all lose to? But I know the
Bullard, Mineola.
Yeah.
Bullard.
Okay. Yeah, Bullard.
Yeah.
That's another memorable game because I let up that punt block. That game that ultimately lost us the game. But the whole week we're working it because we're watching film and we're seeing where this guy comes through the gap.
Yeah.
And I guess the whole week I'm confused on who's coming through the gap because, whenever you're in a scout team, there's no, number that you see. Like, whenever you're going against scout team players, there's no number that you see. So I'm just seeing this dude come through the whole week. And sure enough, come game time, I think we didn't even punt that much that game. We're on our 5, and I'm blocking my dude down, and I'm looking for this guy to come through this hole, and he came from the other side. That we worked all week. He came from the opposite side, and I knew as soon as the ball was snapped and that dude flashed through it, I was like, I'm finna get reamed on the sideline. And sure enough, I did. And even after the game, Coach Burks came and talked to me, and he was like, dude, we worked on that all week. I was like, I messed up, man. I messed up.
Is that probably your worst memory, I guess, for football at White Oak?
Honestly, probably, yeah. Oh, well, I got suspended that Jefferson game my senior year.
Tell us about
Yeah,
that.
I was going to get to the 16th season.
Why did you get suspended?
Big game.
It was a huge game. It was winning district or losing district, that game was.
Oh, yeah.
When did you get suspended?
Yeah,
what day of the week? How far before the Jefferson game? And just tell us what happened.
So it's around Halloween time, and I'm over at my across the street neighbor's house, and they're having a Halloween party. Well, these people show up. I guess they were invited by someone else who was there, and this one dude is just out of his mind on.
Was he in high school?
No.
Okay.
He was, I believe, at the time he was 22, and step outside, and he punched this girl in the face, and I saw it, and he's just not in his right mind, but he's not stopping, so I just walk over there and I knock him out, right? I punch him in the face, knock him out. Someone got video of it, and it was his ex-girlfriend who he hit, and his current girlfriend went to my school, took it to a coach.
A 22-year-old's dating a high schooler?
Yes. Yeah.
So an extracurricular activity that's outside of school.
It was outside. It wasn't on school grounds. It wasn't during the school day. It wasn't during school hours.
You were protecting a girl.
Yeah. So
So they took it to the coach.
took it to one of the coaches. It made its way back to Iske, and I get called into Coach Iske's office on Monday.
And was that Monday the week of the Jefferson game?
Yes.
Okay.
And ends up talking to me like, yeah, we're going to have to suspend you.
What?
And I told him my story. I told him my side of the story. He was like, well, I didn't see him punch the girl.
From football, what about school? Was there any repercussion? Yeah.
0.
Right.
0.
Because what can they do?
Nothing.
Right.
And
so why did Iske?
dude, it was a huge ordeal because I told him my side of the story, and he's like, well, in the video, I just see you punching this dude in the face. Because they didn't get the other part that provoked me to do what I did. And he says, yeah, we're going to have to suspend you this week. No practice, no game.
No practice?
No practice, no game.
I heard you weren't even on the sidelines that game.
I was not.
You were in the stands?
I showed up to get on the sideline, and he's like, you didn't practice. You're suspended. Didn't practice all week. Can't play. So I watched that game from the stands.
That was your senior year?
That was my senior year.
Wow. Now, you went all district lineman, didn't you? Or
Yeah, first team all district offensive lineman, honorable mention defensive line, and then second team academic all state. Academic all state.
So
that was my
your
senior
year, the biggest game.
Yeah.
Of his coaching career and your high school career.
His coaching career and your career.
Yeah.
Both. And he put you...
Because we hadn't been district champs, I think, since...
71.
Yeah.
Outright district.
Outright.
And also, we were undefeated, and so was Jefferson.
Yes.
Was undefeated. So.
And we had beat Jefferson the year before, and
Jefferson, they had the powder.
They had a lot of hype that year with the quarterback and that wide receiver.
But we all knew what was up because they had that powder puff schedule. They had that Clarksville and I forget who else. So they were hyped up.
They were really hyped up
for no reason. It was crazy.
So I want to ask you this about that game, and I've asked another teammate of yours. Do you think if Kaysen wouldn't have started that game and they would have started Dalton, y'all would have won that game?
It's kind of hard to say, but you see how Dalton performed.
That's what we talked about.
Whenever
Here's another thing though too. Nothing against Connor Weeks, but didn't Kaysen Kinsley play defensive back? Wouldn't he have played defense had Dalton started on offense, and we possibly wouldn't have gave up 150 yards passing to TQ Jackson that game? He had like 150 yards receiving with like 3 touchdowns that game.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is Kaysen better than Connor?
Man, it's I was really impressed with how Connor played that year. Because
I do too. I was too, but whoever the DC was at that time, Brandon Cook, they wouldn't shadow TQ's side at all hardly. You got Connor up against TQ. I think TQ went to the Razorbacks, if I'm mistaken.
Man, it's so hard for me to kind of identify these players because I wasn't in the meetings or anything. Like I didn't get to game plan or anything.
TQ Jackson was a sophomore that year.
Okay.
And so we kind of keep up with them because we continue playing Jefferson and them. And he was a D1 recruit. He went to Arkansas, I think. Chad Morris was there, and Jeff Traylor was one of the assistants at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And TQ
and I'm not
was
sure
there.
what happened to his career. I didn't keep up with him.
I didn't. I think he was going to transfer to SMU, and I quit keeping up with it after that. But
and then the quarterback too. He was hyped up too. He was a big boy.
Yeah, Hodge was. His name.
Hodge. That's right.
And D Black after. I don't think D Black was old enough when you were playing.
I remember the quarterback. Number 7
was Hodge.
Yeah,
Hodge.
I remember him from my junior year.
But you probably know how Iske is. If you have a quarterback, that's all they're playing. They're not playing defense. So them starting Case in that game, kind of, I thought they put Connor out there, against that D1 guy. And if you're going to do that, it's fine. Just shadow Brandon over there a little bit, or cover 2, cover 3. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I was a defensive tackle.
Yeah,
I'm not.
so I'm like-minded.
But you could see, they would single Connor and TQ out by themselves, and he scorched us. Then he would go in on or Kaysen on offense would throw the 3 interceptions. That game was like, couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was very hard to watch.
Now, what was your relationship with him the next Monday when you got back?
Well, obviously, I'm pissed because, like, even with Heath out, I think if I play that game I don't know how many pressures I had that year.
Yeah.
I think I mess up that passing game a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm definitely making it more uncomfortable in the pocket, more difficult to get those passes off. So
when you came back on Monday, what did he say to you? Anything?
I
did
believe
he just was it business as usual?
Yeah, like he just tried to brush it off as glad to see you back. I was like, I wouldn't have been gone if
you remember Eric Scott, Tyson Scott. His mother taught at the school, I believe.
Vaguely.
Okay, Eric Scott was a big wrestler. He played with Clay Bridges, if that rings a bell. At White Oak, he was a fighter, and he broke his pinky getting in a fight.
Yeah.
And Blankenship, that they didn't care.
Yeah.
They just let him play. That's what I say.
Yeah, we've talked about that game, and I think for one, hearing that story is crazy. You don't suspend your starting.
I think I would have done a lot more investigating.
Yeah, I would have done a lot more investigating.
Didn't Brandon get in a little trouble that game?
As
Do you
far
remember?
as no, I really don't.
Didn't he break his finger or twist his finger or something? Then he.
I think he might have dislocated it or something like that.
Yeah, I thought he got in a little trouble there at the end too.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Malvin.
Yeah, to the ref.
Oh, okay.
And the coaches. He's just frustrated because I think he saw what you saw. Maybe shadow me to this side a little bit, and we won't get scorched like we are right now.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm not a coverage guy or wide receivers guy. I can't tell you one passing route hardly. They say a fade, and I'm like, what is that? I have no idea. But I do know when you see the same play, happen over and over, it's like, okay, something's not right here. We need to game plan for this and see. It's one thing I didn't like about Iske is his lack of changing in game. If they're doing something, they keep doing it. It's like
you got to adjust your game
adjust.
plan. You got to
yes,
adjust.
you got to adjust, and like TQ, they did not adjust with him and Connor.
Yeah.
I think they started to, but it was, it's
too late.
Too late. My logical, just looking at it from the outside, unbiased, I believe Iske uses special teams to safely turn the ball over. Safely. He is safe about it. Whereas, like, when I was in, it's like, nah, we're getting you as far back as possible because we were more of a defensive team, low scoring, time possession, we needed to get you. We would use field position on special teams to pin you further back. And it's like now they don't care. They just want to give you the ball and not let you score. Yeah. And so it's like, why is Iske? Why doesn't he kick it deep? Why doesn't he try to use field position on special teams? Did y'all ever kind of question that, or?
No, because you
just did what you were told, I guess.
Yeah, well, if we brought it up, it'd just get thrown under the rug, basically, because we're just the players.
Did y'all have a special teams coach, or was that all Iske?
As far as the punts go, it was Mueller, I believe.
Okay.
With the little rollout with the quarterback and kick it.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that was designed to kind of make teams second guess if we were going to fake it or not, but we never faked it. We never faked it. So we're just put in kind of bad field position unless the quarterback boots it.
Yeah.
We're just kind of put in bad field position.
I did know that the little pooches that they would do on kickoff, it did work a couple times. We did get the ball back, but since you were gone, they still do it. And we don't have this good kicker or game plan, and it's like we're just. That's right. We literally give them the ball on like the 35. Yeah. I'm not kidding you, man. Yeah. I'm like.
It's like kicking it out of bounds.
Yeah. Exactly. Just go ahead and kick that sucker out of bounds, On that special team stuff, it's hard to watch, man.
Yeah.
Okay, go on and tell us now, season ends. Do you have any relationship with Iske at the end? Did y'all have, did he say, I appreciate you, all your hard work or anything like that?
As far as the end of my senior year?
Yeah.
One thing does stand out to me. The season's over, and I have made my intentions known that I want to go play ball at the next level, right? And they're saying, all the coaches are saying, we're going to help you, we're going to talk to some coaches, we're going to get film out, whatever. Well, they don't do that for me. Like they said they don't do that for me, but they got coaches come to see Jalen and Brandon from ETBU, wherever. Yeah. So I do my own recruiting. I end up going to Austin College, but before that, we're talking, I'm going into school in the morning. Iske's there holding the door open. He was like, how's your recruiting going? I was like, well, it's not going too good right now. I just started, basically. I started late, sending film out and stuff like that. A coach from there, Coach Pike, he messages me on Twitter because I have my highlights in my bio, and hey man, you got a few minutes to talk on the phone? I'm like, sure thing. Not even 10 seconds later, I get a call. I'm like, this is weird. How do you even get my number? And he schedules a visit, and I go to Austin College. That was the first school I went to, and then I go to Louisiana College and a few more for some visits. But the first one, right? I'm like, they knew what they saw, so I ended up going there. But going back to the Iske thing is, I'm walking into school and he asked how's recruiting going. I was like, not good. If worst comes to worst, I'll just go to Blinn because if I wasn't going to play football, I was going to go to A&M. That's where my dad graduated from. Huge A&M fans. I'll go to Blinn and I'll try and walk on there, and he laughs. He literally scoffs at me. So that impression stuck with me. So, it was, I didn't really have a relationship with Coach Iske after the season. Yeah, I was tired of it,
What was y'all's feelings when Heath Hood got hurt that 16 season before the Jefferson game? What was the atmosphere? What was the morale? How was the team? How did the team handle that?
I'd say we actually handled it pretty well for the most part, because from what we knew, it wasn't a season-ending injury at that point. Like, it was, well, we're going to have to make playoffs and we might have to go a couple rounds.
Well,
I know this. I asked a couple of coaches. I'd sneak around on my Twitter. I asked Mueller and forget who else I asked on Instagram, and no one would tell me an answer. They would ask me, "Who are you? Who is this?"
Yeah,
instead of them answering, "Hey, how's Heath doing? When's his return?" They avoided it.
They kept it quiet. But that's another thing about the Jefferson game. They dropped the ball at Jefferson. There was some mistakes made during that game.
Yeah.
Had they won that game, would have faced Pottsboro in the third round and not the second round.
And I think he would have been way more prepared
exactly
to go into a Pottsboro game the third round instead of the second.
How was Heath that last game?
Did John?
Pottsboro. Yeah. That's another question.
Did John know he was going to come in and play that game?
Did they?
Y'all did?
Mm-hmm.
Did they hold him back, or was he playing hurt?
Man, in my opinion, he shouldn't have played that game. We should have rolled with Dalton. He was on fire.
He was.
He was
we
was
talked
fire.
about that, man.
It was crazy to have
That
Dalton
new Boston
step
game?
in.
The new Boston game was wild.
It was crazy to have Hood all year, right?
Yeah.
See, Hood I think he ended that year with 2,900 passing yards. I mean, it was fire all year. Yeah, and then Dalton just to come off the bench, and you're like, dude, we got two dudes that can throw the rock,
Dalton's deep ball
it's crazy.
was pretty, man. Like,
Yeah.
he could chunk it, and he'd drop it right in the breadbasket.
We watched the Pottsboro game, though, man, and, I mean, it looked like either the coaches were
You could tell
holding him back.
He could not score 6 points in a game.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
It looked like they were almost either holding him back, or maybe it was a combination of both. They were holding him back so that he didn't re-injure it, or he was hurt and didn't want to re-injure it himself.
All week in practice, they're emphasizing the slide. And
What's the slide?
like, whenever a quarterback runs, slide.
Give himself up.
So they weren't even
Slide.
considering starting Dalton.
see.
All week in practice.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
Well, my whole deal is I never saw Heath Hood slide once before that week.
Yes. The dude was a baller.
Yes.
I'm talking, and see, Harmony was state ranked with at the same time that year.
Both
That was a big
undefeated.
game. Yes.
Yeah, that was a really big game.
That was a big game, and so Hood carried the whole team a couple times. It looked
Yeah.
like. So
Speaking of Hood, when you were on the field with him, did you know he was special? Like,
Oh, absolutely. Like, I've never seen, and I played with exceptional athletes in college too.
yeah.
He's the best athlete I've ever played with.
yeah, I remember he went to the combine, the East Texas Sports Center or Network Combine or something. They had his shuttle times were faster than wide receivers at Sulphur Springs and Longview.
Yeah.
And see, that's what we all noticed was his quickness, his
was so
elusiveness.
His football IQ was really high.
Yeah,
he was-
yeah.
Like, sometimes I really liked playing with Heath because, he's holding the ball, and then if someone lets a defensive player through, he's scrambling, he's making something happen. A lot of those plays, I get a lot of crackback blocks, and that was a great feeling, man.
Yeah.
Because he's going side to side, man. So.
Oh man, yeah, that's the worst thing as a lineman. You're chasing the quarterback, and you're just like wanting
You're
to,
focused,
and then bam.
Boom.
Yeah, I got a couple of those.
Yeah, man, that was a great feeling, and just to see what he could do on the field was insane, man. So
It was amazing. He was fun to watch, man.
Yeah, 2016's like my favorite year to watch.
That season was awesome.
because before him, like, the only real scrambling quarterback whenever I was there was Dylan Gale, and I never saw Dylan Gale move.
Was
Like
Gale as
Hood.
fast as Hood or no?
No.
Okay. So
So-
you're a freshman when they went to the semis then?
Yes.
Okay.
So Swade moved there my sophomore year.
Okay. Yeah.
That talk about a beast, just an animal, Swade Smith.
Yeah, I think he has the record at wideout for most tackle for loss. I think so. Yeah, the 13 team was better balanced, probably with a lot more talent on the team. But Hood on 6 team was a definite playmaker.
Yeah, that 100%. That 13 team, you don't see that type of size in White Oak. Chris Langman, Jason Heim, Levi Loftus, Mickey McFall was the smallest lineman we had, and even he was like 230.
So you were in high school when Stanford was still there?
Yeah, he left after my freshman year, so I only got him for 1 year.
Was he enthusiastic? Do you remember?
Man,
We've seen some videos of him and stuff like at Texas High, and he still does the chest bumping and all that stuff.
he's a pistol, man.
Yeah.
Like, if there was a call he thought was unfair, he's on the field dragging his headset behind him, man. He was a very, very enthusiastic, very energetic person.
I feel like that's what we miss at White Oak is having some enthusiasm, to just get everybody just hyped up and stuff.
Yeah, Iske's very stoic.
When I was in, we had one.
Yeah.
We had one coach that was enthusiastic. I mean, there some of them all had some enthusiasm, but there was one that was like a Mueller or Stanford. It just got everything out of you that he could.
Yeah.
We need some of that back, I believe.
It was just a different feel to it whenever Stanford was there, because we also had Coach Wilson there, and he was the DB's coach. He's a young dude. I think he was probably like 23, 24, and he just fed off Coach Stanford's energy, and the whole coaching staff fed off Coach Stanford's energy.
Yeah.
Like Coach Brown, Coach Burks.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
right.
So there was a lot of energy in the locker room, on the field at all times. So, and that was a drastic change whenever Iske took over. It's just not the same, right? The coaches feed off the head coach, right?
Yeah.
So the energy wasn't the same. We had to really amp ourselves up a lot.
Tell us a little bit about you going to college.
Yeah, so like I said, they were the first place I visited, Austin College. And another thing was Coach Shutt. He went to school there, and he was on that championship team that beat Baylor. So, and I just thought, you know what, this is the place for me.
Did you start all 4 years there?
I did not.
No?
So
Tell us about it.
Oh, yeah.
I started my sophomore year.
Okay.
It's really hard. So there's a misconception, right? Even Division III, JUCO, whatever level of football you go to, there's athletes. So I'm coming from White Oak, small town school, and I'm a really good player from White Oak, right? So I go in there, I'm like, I'm going to start freshman year, no doubt. I think the total number of freshmen that started my freshman year was like 2.
Wow.
Because there's 100 people easily on the team. So it's very difficult for you to come in there and work, and especially whenever I go in there my freshman, there's 2 seniors in my position. So it was very difficult for me to kind of stand out, if that makes sense, because, man, they know the system. That's another thing. Defensive playbooks in college, this thick, man. So you got to, and I'm going from White Oak where I know 2 plays on defense. So that was another difficult transition, but I started my sophomore year all the way up to my senior.
How did y'all do?
Did you play? You were playing defense.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you played defense all the time. Yeah, go ahead and answer Paul.
Yeah, how was the overall team? Did y'all have a good records?
No, I think our best record was my junior year. We went 5-5.
5-5.
Yeah, so that's another thing is, man, it's not the talent on the team. There was games. There was only one game where we got blown out, and that was against Barry, and they play against Mary Hardin Baylor every year, Division III championship game. So every other team we could have beat easily. I think it was a coaching issue.
You, Shunsworth was your coach here at White Oak for the whole time?
Defensive end, so my freshman and sophomore year, he was my coach.
When did they split up the defensive line coach to defensive end and defensive tackle? Or is that? I think it's what they do now, right?
Yeah.
When I was in, it was you had one, defensive line coach.
We had 2 when I was in.
You had 2?
Yeah, when I was 1970.
Okay.
Sid Bratton was defensive ends, and Tommy Atkins was
The tackles.
the 2 techniques. We ran the 4-3, and then Mike Crossland and Jimmy Johns coached the linebackers, and Coach Griffin coached the secondary.
Crossland?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he was. I'm gonna tell you, the reason we were successful was because of Crossland and Johns. Because they were our 9th and 8th grade coaches, and we were undefeated our 9th grade year. We wasn't supposed to be, and that was the only year that. Well, Crossland was, lost 1 game in 2 years, and that was the year before. But they were real good junior high coaches, and then they went on up when they reorganized the thing. But yeah, he coached linebackers.
I didn't know. I just I felt like they got a lot of coaches now, and I was like,
We had 6.
y'all
What'd you
had
think
6?
about the Brandon Cook hire?
I like it, man.
Yeah, we were excited for that.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
now?
Brandon Cook was hired on the staff, football staff.
He's he was all state safety.
Yeah.
Kid was fast, man.
Very.
Jeez.
Watching races between him and Heath Hood,
Who was faster?
they would kind of give him
You know where Brandon came from though, right?
Yeah, Malakoff.
Yeah.
Right, and he played with Judd Miller over at Malakoff.
Oh, okay.
What year did he move to White Oak?
My
15 was his first
Junior
year.
year, yeah.
Paul Cook is his dad.
Okay.
And Paul Cook graduated with Cody Orms, his stepbrother, in the early 90s.
Someone's asked me if, when people didn't know who I was on Reppin, if I was Paul Cook. I was like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I went to some of the games with Brandon's dad in 16. He was coaching at Malakoff, and then
I
they
didn't
came
know
back
that.
to White Oak, yeah. But Judd Miller was, if you know, Malakoff has been pretty good since they got there.
Years.
Brandon had the opportunity to play with Judd Miller and Heath Hood and our squads and stuff. So there were some comparisons drawn between Judd and Heath Hood. Some people felt like Judd was better than Hood, but we all knew Hood was more elusive and faster.
Yeah, just an athlete, man. Just an athlete on the field. To this day, I believe he could have gone to a D1 school to be an athlete to play football.
Who was the other defensive end with y'all? I know Zach Maley was the other tackle, right?
Yeah.
Number 23.
Uh-huh.
Who was the other end?
Jalen Jeffrey.
My highlight of him was that Spring Hill game where they just dumped it over.
Dude, he was wide open, dude. Nobody was
And he
catching.
was chopping, too.
He was, man.
He was hauling.
Yeah, it was like that 56-8 game, and
Yeah.
we just stomped them. We beat Spring Hill my senior year after losing 6 in a row. See, they had Thomas brothers that went to University of North Texas. And
Demario and Jamario?
yeah, Demario.
Demario,
yeah. So that 6 years, it was tough.
Yeah.
And then we get up there, and man, we beat them 42-7.
Yeah.
And we held the record for a while.
Mhm.
I guess until y'all.
Yeah, we
Finally.
broke that record my junior year and then tied it my
That game was kind of also another good game because Spring Hill was like 3-0 that year. They had that kid at quarterback that was real, running around, somewhat elusive.
Yeah.
And they were hyping it up big time.
Jason Attaway, yeah.
Yeah, Attaway, yeah. And we just obliterated him.
Yeah.
You could tell he was rattled.
Well, I mean, it's on my highlight reel. First quarter, I rocked him bad. Like he's running outside, and I'm trailing, and he goes to cut back, and I just take his head off.
So what was it like beating Spring Hill 2 years in a row?
Yeah, so I beat him 4 years in a row, and my senior year, I actually had to block one of my good friends from Spring Hill. Entire
So
game.
there's a bunch of mouthing going on.
Yeah, a little bit, man. And I remember one play, I'm driving him all the way to the sideline, and he gets so mad and grabs me by the face mask and throws me down.
Did they kick him out of the game?
No, they did
How
not.
do you feel about the rivalry ending this year?
Man, you know who told me that? Jamie Salter told me that, Coach Salter. I was talking to him because, I'm going to coach his kid this year in Roughnecks. And
What was his opinion?
Man, he's saying he said he thinks it's good to probably take a year or two off just because I don't know if we're really at that level anymore. That they're getting better, and we're trying to rebuild and rebuild and rebuild. Me personally,
You don't take it all.
I don't think we should take off. I think it makes like that week playing Spring Hill. That was probably our hardest working week of practice. We wanted to beat them as bad as we could. So I think it's kind of a weenie move, I guess.
That's how I look at it too, because the series is now tied, and like me and Mason said, you don't take a break from it.
Yeah.
You adjust. You find a way
You don't
to
just
play.
back away.
Now it's kind of
It's like things run in cycles.
Mm-hmm.
We won several years, and then they won, and it
Yeah, it's
all
a
evens
rotation.
out.
Yeah.
And in our time, we'll come back. We probably would have to take 2 or 3 more years of beatings, but there's no need. You're talking about a game that was played back in the 1950s, and then they stopped playing because they were B and we were A. And then when they came up to A in 1968, we played through 1973. We beat them every time, and then 74, believe they won. Maybe I get my years mixed up. But then we did take, I guess, a 2 or 3 year when we went up. When we were up, for some reason we didn't play. It wasn't because they wanted to quit or we wanted to quit, and then it picked back up. You can go look in the records where there's 2 or 3 years where there wasn't a game, and it wasn't because no one didn't want to play. It was because of, moving up. And, I can't understand. I do know things that others don't, but, there's no White Oak and Spring Hill. I remember when Marshall was having a bad run before they won the state, and they tried to get out of playing Longview, and Pat Collins shamed them and said, we're going to go to the paper and say, you're the ones that did this. Well, nobody said anything, but, I know who the one was, and I think everybody sitting in this standing, us 4 know who killed it.
Yep.
But it needs to be not this year, not next year, but when we realign, because you're settled for 2 years, it needs to start back.
Yeah.
right.
I agree
my
too.
opinion.
I think he was scared. White Oak has never been behind in the series, so I think that's how I'm kind of looking at it too. Is I think he maybe didn't want to be the first coach to take the series loss. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then I just want to touch base too on your brother. You told us you're going to be doing some coaching for the Little Necks, and I've seen video of your brother. Your brother's going to be a beast, man. So touch base a little bit about that. You're going to be coaching the Little Necks this year, you mentioned.
Yep.
And your brother's going into 5th grade?
Yes.
5th grade. So we have a future star in him, and his name's Riggins.
Yes, Reppin Cunneen, yeah.
Yeah, he was the first student athlete of the week winner for intermediate. Right. We never had an intermediate winner, and I always thought that was really, really cool. So, yeah, man, looking forward to having, seeing him in the future. That's going to be fun to watch him. So
Somebody we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll be a player to look out for this year because he'll be underweight, so he'll be able to carry the ball. Last year he had that big red X on his helmet, so couldn't carry the ball.
What did they have? What does that mean?
So in 3rd and 4th, you have to be under 105 pounds to touch the ball. So this year it's 125, which he's hovering right around that.
Dang.
But we're optimistic he's going to be under that weight.
So are you training them? Do you work out with them? What kind of training routine do you got?
So we just started last week going to the field, doing some footwork drills. One thing about Riggins is for his age, his football IQ is off the charts, man.
Wow.
Like, it really is. I know it kind of sounds like I'm bragging.
No, from the video, you could tell. I mean,
yeah,
he's making plays.
Yeah, and it's just his mindset is different than some of the kids this age. Like, he's got the intent to hurt somebody on the football
So is
field.
football his number one love in sports or baseball? I see him
Football.
knocking bombs out all the time when y'all are posting and sharing the videos, man. So
Yeah.
football's his number one love?
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's the way it was for me too. Like I played all sports, and
Yeah.
I was really good at baseball and football. But it's just for us, it's a different love for football. Man.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's in our blood.
And did your parents go to White Oak?
No, my parents actually went to. I don't know if you've ever heard of Navasota.
Heard of it.
But one thing about my dad is he's really worked with us on being athlete, lessons, spending extra time taking us to the field.
That's where it starts.
So it's never like it was never make us go. Is that we wanted to. We wanted to use that time to make us better athletes too. So
Absolutely.
give him a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, it starts with the parents. Parents are a big deal. That's awesome that he's doing that. Can't wait to see him play, especially in middle school. So
Yeah, I'm very excited, man.
So what do you do now? Like, are you ever do you have any plans to coach or like at a middle school or high school level?
I really wanted to. So when I graduated college, I didn't really know what to do. I got a degree that's very broad, very general.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm coaching Roughnecks. I want to see how I enjoy it and how good of a coach I am.
Yeah.
So, and it turns out, like, I really love it. So, maybe go back and get my teacher's certificate or something, because I already have a bachelor's degree, so all I need is my teacher's certificate, and it's definitely an option.
Awesome,
it's
man.
definitely an option.
Reppin Sessions podcast. Thank you so much, Dawson. Episode 10, we are done.
Roll, Roughnecks, roll.